how do I do whatever I need to do to fit in? And that means maybe not embracing myself, not being fully myself in order to feel like I'm accepted, to feel like I belong, to feel like I don't stand out. When I already stand out for all these other reasons, maybe I
Mm.
could play small a little bit so that I don't bring any unnecessary, uncomfortable attention to myself. And that was something that I carried into adulthood. I've had to learn more of how do I just embrace who I am and be myself unapologetically. And for a long time, I didn't know when people say, I am unapologetic about who I am. I mean, it's probably only in the last few years that I've really embraced what it means to live that way, to be myself and not feel guilt and not worry about the consequences. To say that's unapologetic. To say, I'm going to be loud, I'm going to be bright, I'm going to shine, and the people who are okay with that are the ones I want in my life, and the people who are not okay with that are not the ones meant for me. I don't know if you
Mm.
have a story that you could share too. What is a story that you have overcome?
What stories have I overcome? Oh, well, for me, what I struggle with believing that was lovable. Does that count as a story I've overcame?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, like for me, like that would be one of my beliefs that I carried, that I wasn't lovable. So even to get to the point of accepting that, where's that feeling coming from? Like, what do I feel that way? And trying to change that story, that's been a lot of roller coaster. And because even to say it to myself was very difficult, because the moment I would say I was lovable, there's this like feeling that comes of a voice you'd be like, no, you're not. So being able to get to the point where I could say that, it definitely took a lot of time. It took a lot of silence. Yeah, that took me a long time to get to. Even now when I do it, the voice is not as loud now, but it's a bit more quiet now than what it was.
Was one of the exercises that you did or things that you did practicing telling yourself that you love that you love yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to practice how to do that. And it was inner child work, like writing to my inner child, that kind of stuff. And just keep practicing and writing it down, because I think, like I mentioned earlier on, I used to write things down. So my writing had to turn from negative to positive. And that was pages after pages after pages before it started to kind of sit in. But I would also do it like at a quiet time, not just like randomly. I'll do it at a quiet time and then just sit with it. And then we'll just keep repeating it. For me, I found it very helpful. And then I start writing my text as a third person. Does that make sense? Like, so it would be like, instead of saying I love you, I'll say like, James, I love you.
Okay.
So there's a separation there, which I think helps me, because when I'm saying I love me, that voice is coming on. But when I say, James, I love you, it's almost a separation from me to someone else. So if I can love my little part of me, that voice is not telling me different. Does that make sense, what I'm saying to you?
It does make sense. I do something similar when I try to get myself excited, when I have like an event or a speaking thing or something where I have to be on. I will say, I'll look at myself in the mirror and say, you are awesome. You are going to do a great job. And just having that almost like it's coming from it, like it's almost like it is external validation, even though it's coming
Mm.
from myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like, I know it's not you saying it, but it's just how it's perceived. It's almost how the voices are coming across. It calms down the negative one. I don't know how that stuff works, but it works.
It works.
And then, yeah, and even writing it down, like I would write it repeatedly, pages after pages. And over time, it's kind of quieting down a bit, as well as doing it breath work and things like that. And a lot of tears, a lot of crying. And yeah, so it's not just a case of writing things down. You need to process some stuff.
You do. You do.
Yeah.
And we've talked about a lot of really good techniques so far. We've talked about diarying or journaling. We have talked about therapy. We've talked about being curious and exploring yourself more. We were just talking about reframing, and we have been most of this conversation
Mm.
talking about reframing our stories and creating new stories for ourselves. And we talked about connection.